everyone, and welcome to another episode of Football Premi Podcast. As our continuing preview to the new Premier League season, we are today covering the prospects of Liverpool. And as always, we have the evergreen Shabu with us. And Arun, the last time you heard us must have been on the NL Fantasy Premier League the video. And we are here again. All right, so Liverpool, what are their prospects for this year? What can we expect from them? What are the players to watch out for? And what would actually become a good, successful season for Liverpool, right? So probably over to Shabu. What are the expectations from Liverpool this year?
I know. ഞാനത് പറഞ്ഞു തുടങ്ങുമ്പോൾ ഒബ്വിയസ്ലി ജെർസിയൊക്കെ ഇട്ടിട്ട് ഞാൻ ഇതിൽ താഴെ പറഞ്ഞാൽ മോശമായിരിക്കും. പക്ഷെ ഐ ഫീൽ ദാറ്റ് വി ആർ ഗുഡ് ഇനഫ് ടു ബി ചാമ്പ്യൻസ് അഗൈൻ ദിസ് സീസൺ. Again, this will be tight this year because I'll go through the rest of the reasons in next slides. But I don't see anybody else really giving us a fight till the end because it's a very settled squad. We have every right to believe, from goalkeeper, defenders, midfielders, and strikers that we are good enough. And again, last season was the best season we could think of, winning like 30 games or 20 games in a row or going unbeaten for some time. But we came to know like at the end of the season, we were really stretched.
But a little bit of the motivation side, right? When you have already 18 points clear or 20 points clear,
right?
One factor is motivation as well, right?
Right. And then, we also didn't expect City to crumble like that. We also expect them to give us a good fight. 2 seasons ago, we lost it by like 1 point. At that time, the lack of experience and all that happened. But once we won the Champions League, team has been reinvigorated in many ways. I feel we have all the credibilities to be the champions again. If we should at least aim for that. I feel that has to be our, pedestal. I don't. Resident Liverpool fan versus resident United.
I was not thinking anything in that aspect. But there will be. I think title challenge is will be more fun this year. Yeah. Because last year you got to a very good start and then you were like leading all the time. You had a comfortable lead all the time, So, and that was not chaseable. Practically, Man City could have done it, but they also limped off in between. But this time, considering the fixtures you have in the beginning, you have tough fixtures, right? I think beginning you start with Leeds. I wouldn't say they. It will be a really, really open game. So because Bielsa will be very, very offensive. So and they don't have anything to lose coming back first game. They will go full power on. And like the other slide said, or somewhere I saw the missing of crowd, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's
some positives.
Yeah.
Some positives, right? Klopp is Klopp. He has the ability to take whatever players he's got and he can really get the best out of them. Amazing manager. He has the ability to bring through youth. We've seen it in the past. Trent coming through. Curtis Jones looks interesting and good prospect. Nico Williams, he's still raw, but definitely a good sign for the future, right? So that's that. Like Shabdish said, settled squad. No major disruptions, and we've seen this before, right? When Suarez was sold, we bought in 6 or 7 players, and that can have a big impact. Now Chelsea's been gone on a buying spree. Now that doesn't always guarantee success. Too many new faces in the team can also disrupt the team dynamics.
Immediately you cannot demand success with a pattern like that. or a model like that. Yeah.
And we've seen it in the past. Tottenham Spurs also did that. When they sold Bale, they brought in Lamela, Eriksen, and a bunch of other players. 7 players they brought in. It took 2 years for Eriksen to really start firing.
Right. ഈ സെറ്റിൽഡ് സ്ക്വാഡ് എന്നുള്ളത് ഭയങ്കര ബിഗ് സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ് കാരണം ഈവൻ സർ അലക്സ് ഫെർഗ്യൂസന്റെ സമയത്തും യുണൈറ്റഡ് നെവർ ബോട്ട് ടു മെനി പ്ലേയേഴ്സ് ഇൻ ദി ബിഗിനിങ്. ദേ ഓൾവേസ് ബോട്ട് വൺ ബിഗ് പ്ലെയർ ലൈക്ക് സ്റ്റാം ഓർ Rio Ferdinand or later on. Yeah, but and still the core was the same. The boys were the same, and the Giggs and the Beckhams and the Neville brothers. Liverpool, they're doing the same thing. They're keeping the wage structure same. They're making sure that their big players are not, no feathers are unfurled in that way, and trying to keep the same squad. And also, most of these players are at their peak of their powers now. Look at Mane now. He's the most demanded player in the world now. Like every team wants him now. Salah has gone down, dipped a bit, but because of his first breakthrough season. And then Firmino is priming up. You have Van Dijk, Alisson, all in their good age. So, and now they have confidence to build on top, right? Last run this season, they have scored 97, 98 points in the league. Had a good run in Champions League. They won almost all the Club World Cup and Super Cup and all those cups. So it will drive them. So I think positive side, these are the things that will work. And then if you
also one point where what I was reading somewhere is like when you pin down Liverpool's fullbacks, the complete game plan is gone. Right. That is one point where others will be really exploiting this season.
Right. And United did it really well against when the first game. Lallana got a lucky goal, but they made sure that Trent and Robertson do not get the width. Right? The only width they gave when we scored a goal. Like Robertson and Lallana scored.
That game they did wide forwards, right? They had 2 wide forwards playing behind Trent and Robertson. That really upset their rhythm. But I think that's where the new
game also, Ismail Assar was behind Robertson, and on the other wing he was behind I forgot the name. He was behind Trent a lot, and so there is a way to unbuckle this group. But still, Van Dijk and Gomez can easily manage that. It's like they won't get to score. Like Liverpool will, you might get a 0-0 with them, but very difficult to break through that defense. But as Arun said, teams will now start to figure out once,
Exactly.
Bielsa will probably unlock the whole thing. He'll come and find out some way to do this. But Klopp has learned it also. When 4 years ago Klopp came, when somebody throws a new idea at him, like when it was Ranieri against Leicester City, they send Vardy through the middle and up through the top, and then he used to score all these wonderful goals against us. There was a point where you think, why is Klopp making the same mistake? But now, Klopp has changed. Maybe, Pep Linders, the assistant coach, is doing some great job there. That our issues they are doing it. They are managing the game really well, even when opposition is throwing something new at them. They are. Arun Baranga point very important. Like, teams will figure out. They have always figured out. Like Chelsea was flying high with Robben and all these players. Suddenly, next season, Ferguson came and changed completely the look. Valencia was playing at a wing. They started winning. And then every team that has gone through a dip, right? Wenger's team has been unlocked. So this team is nowhere near Wenger's, invincible. I personally feel that Wenger's team was still, the benchmark team. But I think they will have a tough time this year.
And I think there was a lot of luck factor also for you last season. A lot of not many injured. Your more core team was always available.
Correct.
Like front 3 and back 3, always there.
Salah was out for a bit, and then Gomez, Matip was out.
They were never out at the same time. If you really look at what Arun's point, they were not out at the same time. And this first point here, right? No Anfield, no Kop. That's a big factor. 19 out of the 19 games last season, I think We lost one game or something like that at home.
No, we lost one with Atletico in Champions League, but in Premier League,
Yeah, Premier League we didn't lose anything. We drew with Burnley.
Burnley though. Yeah, we had a draw.
Yeah, yeah. So that is a big
Premier League,
factor.
Premier League. I think you have not lost in like what 300 and 400 days or something like that. It's crazy.
Since 2018, we haven't lost a game in Anfield. But again, our Klopp in the എല്ലാ ടീമിലും, right? Dortmund the crowd plays a big portion of the game, right? They are the 12th man. They cheer him on, and then like there was no way any other team can win against Barca 4-0 otherwise, right? Yeah, crowd in the effectum, we give that dangerous environment to play, kind of like a Stoke City in a way, but that is missing in Corona, right? There's no crowd. Kloppin ഒരു ബഹളം ക്ലോപ്പ് ബഹളം വെക്കുന്നുണ്ട്, പക്ഷെ കാര്യമില്ല. ക്ലോപ്പിന്റെ അത്ര ബഹളം വെക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല.
അല്ല, പക്ഷേ ഒക്ടോബറിൽ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ചെൽസിയുടെ ഗെയിം ആണോ എന്ന് എനിക്ക് ഓർമ്മയില്ല. ഒക്ടോബറിൽ ബ്രൈറ്റൺ ചെൽസിയിൽ സം ഫാൻസ് ആർ അലൗഡ്. 30% ആണോ 20% ആണോ? So we can expect people coming soon to stadiums, but not in the same fashion like having a full house and field. But yeah, I think there will be improvement.
Right. I mean, even Gary Neville, the recent interview, Gary Neville പറയുന്നുണ്ട്, he hated to come there. Rooney was saying he hated to come to Cop, especially playing against the Cop end. I think that is made like that. So that's missing out because when
correct.
Rooney had a reason to say that. Yeah. From Everton, right?
Yeah, but COVID is a big factor, right? We were talking about injuries. It's not necessarily injuries like Abhi said sometime back in another video. If 3-4 key players, let's say the front three or the two defenders, contract COVID, turn positive, they are off for 2 weeks. And if that happens in December, in those 2 weeks, you'll have maybe 6 or 7 games, right? 2 weeks or a 3-week period. So because, and in the subsequent slide, we will talk about squad situation and things like that. With Lovren also going out, there's not much backup there. They're all kids. You've got Nathaniel Phillips and Over. And
those,
yeah,
those kind of risk I anticipate when we have this international breaks.
Breaks.
Those kind of that's where you have this tendency to travel to other countries and meet new people. Some of the players will be having their own breaks, vacation, and that's when all these things happen. So when we have this international breaks, I think COVID is a high risk.
Correct.
In fact, today I think there's an unconfirmed report. I'm not sure, but there's an unconfirmed report that our new left back, Tsimikas, is probably COVID positive after the recent Nations League games.
Oh.
Yeah, that's again.
I'm not sure. It's not sure yet, but so this can happen. Every international break is a big. You have to go in like this.
Right.
And with our thin squad, and Klopp likes a small squad. He likes 18-19 core players. It's difficult. This situation is difficult. If you can go to the next one, you'll really see the situation.
One point, Man City. One point I wanted to say was Man City looking for revenge, and I said in the nice way, because last season, if you look at every interview of City player, right, they were incensed or angry at the way things have been done, right? They have set a pedestal for themselves, and they are dropping from that level. So look at Sterling's or the KDB's. The interview that is saying is we are going to come up next year even stronger. So this year they have done that. They have brought in Ake. They have brought in a bunch of amazing buys, and they will be up there knocking the doors. We'll see what happens. And also,
I was hoping for Messi to come, which should have really disrupted the Man City situation overall. It didn't happen. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, no doubt. But so this is a squad situation, right? We spoke about this before. Really physically demanding system. It's high pressure all the time, and there have been games in the past where we have taken off, let's say, Firmino or Salah or two of the front three to give them a rest, thinking that the game is won. They're 4-1 ahead or something like that, and suddenly a couple of goals, that intensity drops. And the moment that drops, suddenly the opposition is reinvigorated, and then they're like, okay, we got a chance here. let's hit back, and that's happened. I think last year we managed games very well, but before that, this was always a problem.
Arun Baranga, luck point was very evident in December and January, right? We got kicked out of pickup. We got kicked out of. That is all luck, actually. Getting kicked out of pickup is very good. We don't have to worry about that. And then, till then, against Watford, we struggled so bad. We have never seen Liverpool playing so bad because players are mentally fatigued. They're like they can't give anything more. So
was that the only defeat last time or last year?
No. After COVID started, we lost to Arsenal, lost to City. Yeah, pre-COVID.
No, I mean last year, before December. So
2019, I think in the previous season we might have dropped points. Especially Man City, I think was the turn of the year, 2nd of January or something.
January, we lost one game. That's it. Yeah.
One game the whole year, right?
And going to the next point is the backup for front three. That's very clear, right? You take out one of them, the whole game, their output comes down. Like we are trying out new players. Like we always tried Origi, we have tried. Minamino is coming in Minamino's role, and then we have tried a few other options. But that front three is the golden standard. Drop of form, or there was a small period where Mane and Salah were competing against each other. At that time, the intensity was so high that every ball that is going through them, it was really exciting to see. But then again, their levels dropped. Mane's level has been really good. He has been the key player for us last year.
Yeah.
Salah has on or off day. We can't just predict him. And then Firmino,
Salah's become little. I mean, maybe Liverpool fans will look at me badly if I say this. Korchu selfish item. There have been so many situations where a pass to Salah or Firmino was the better option, and he went to shoot, trying to get to that 20 goals or 25 goals or whatever that he wanted, right? If he keeps doing that, I think Klopp has to sort of speak to him. Otherwise, this season will get affected.
And then I have added this about Keita, right? When we brought him, we were told that he's going to be this amazing, nimble foot player who's going to connect all the dots. He's going to go through he's basically a middle of the park player who can, cut these angles. In Brendan Rodgers' words, he can find those angles. But again, he has struggled with injuries and, he hasn't consistently played more than 5 games. That is as bad as that.
What's your view? I mean, I feel this guy is a confidence player. He needs to be in the team for 5-6 games. And with standard...
Actually...
Right.
Yeah, please continue, Andrew.
With the standard of the team, he's not been able to do that. And injuries also, niggling injuries and things like that. What's your view?
No, I was thinking mostly when he plays, Liverpool almost doesn't have the front three, the regular front three. Okay, so whenever he plays, it's a B team or a Liverpool second squad. So then actually, eventually the intensity goes way down.
Right.
So then all the pressure I think comes on him or somebody else who's like new to the team, and they have to really push the whole team. But I think when you put him along with all the front three fully firing, I think he would click. Like you said, he needs confidence. So he would be like an assist master. I think I see him only in those kind of roles rather than a goal scoring.
Definitely. And he's not gonna rotate the position, or he's not gonna score great goals from outside the box. He likes to ping boxes through the lines and then balls through the lines and then create chances. He has a lot of chances. Again, you're right. He has not been given a good run with the A team. So hopefully this
year. If Thiago moves really materializes, I think this guy's future is like done. Yeah.
So 2 different roles though. He plays a number 8. Thiago is going to play number 6. He plays very deep.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the reason why Thiago wants to come to Liverpool also. That's what he says in the interviews. That's the role he likes, right? In a team.
But yeah, with Wijnaldum gone, I think probably it would fit more.
We have Fabinho in that 6. So unless Klopp has decided that this season we are going to use Fabinho as a centre back.
See, Fabinho number 6 is like a destroying number 6. He's not going to create anything, right? Whereas Thiago is going to create a lot of chances. He has
a different. In the 4-2-3-1, there's a slightly different view I have. I believe that he's been priming for it, especially with. Anyway, I'll come to that later. Let's talk about the prospects of these academy boys. Brewster looks sharp. He's a finisher. I
think I heard a lot of hype about him in the fantasy podcast, like Premier League Fantasy, Premier League 4 podcast. People were talking about him, and there was an interesting talk about him being loaned out to get more game time. So I think Newcastle is in one of the top clubs that they're looking to loan him out.
I think that will happen, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think of all the prospects, I think my favorite 4 here is Brewster, Neto, and then Jones, and Jones especially because in the interview, Klopp was saying that we have solution for Thiago in-house, which is Jones, and he played really well against Blackpool in that pre-game. So scored a screamer against Everton. This is like a good way to start your career. So
he was captain that day. He was captaining the team.
He's captaining the team, and he's very confident young lad also. So I see him playing a lot. So even if Thiago does not,
the way Community Shield ended was not very positive for him, right? So he missed the
Brewster, We're talking Jones, but
okay.
But we have enough, some good prospects coming in. Let's go to the next one. This is the Persian. So this is how Liverpool usually plays, a typical 4-3-3, especially when we have possession. It's even more higher. So you have the Van Dijk and Gomez stepping up in the 2, and then you have your defenders stepping up, Robbo and TAA, and then Fabinho playing in that hole right in front of the defense. So if Thiago comes there, he'll play there instead of Fabinho, or they'll play double pivot with Thiago and Fabinho. The good thing in that is that Fabinho they call him Dyson, like the vacuum cleaner. He basically mops up the entire field, but he's not a creator. He cannot create a game out of nothing. Thiago can. So probably that'll be a good place for him to come in. And then Keita and Henderson up top. Henderson, because I think Henderson has been more successful now playing in that right midfield forward position where Chamberlain also is successful, so they can rotate between him and Chamberlain. And then obviously you can't replace the front 3, Mane, Firmino, and that's the blueprint.
Endo was doing a job in the number 6 for a while, and Klopp asked him to do it, and he did it. I think one of the came back and he said, "Listen, I am 8. I want to play there." Right, and Klopp said, "Okay, I think Fabinho's fit now, or Gini can play the 6. So let's try it out." And he really started assisting goals. If you look at the number of crosses that he's got from the right wing.
Right.
Maybe number-wise less than Trent, but from an impact perspective, I think he's had more impactful crosses that led to goals or dangerous situations in general. Sorry,
Arun. You think something?
No, I was just thinking that this season he have to probably step back a bit and probably play number 6 along with Fabinho because of the absence of Wijnaldum, and if you don't sign Thiago, it will be a struggle. Yeah, and I don't see any other player who can fill that position other than Henderson.
Right. And this is something I've seen him experiment when we are, leading by 1 goal or 2 goal, right? We play 4-2-3-1 with either Salah or Bobby on top. And Salah because of the pace, and also he can score a lot of goals. So they play him on the edge of the defenders. They say the shadow of the defender, as they say. And then you play a double pivot of Fabinho and Milner or Fabinho and Lallana or Fabinho and Keita, anybody. But the key thing here is that you keep your possession and then play on the counter. So that's where he plays this 4-2-3-1. But this is more fluid compared to 4-3-3, in my opinion, because you spread the game really well, and then you can switch. Both your fullbacks can press up if you need it. And also, you use Mane really well in this situation. In the usual 4-3-3, what happens is Mane gets drifted wider. You don't get him to score a lot of goals. But here, he can make those runs across the penalty box, and he can score a lot of goals. He also prefers this position, but as safety first, they always go for 4-3-3, where you look very compact and sturdy, and then go to this. These are the preferred two options. One thing is that Klopp doesn't change his formations really a lot. You can easily predict what he's going to do.
Formation, and mostly also like I think it was Andrew or you said about, he has this very core team. He doesn't shuffle that much.
Right.
So it will be always that formation is kind of predictable.
Correct.
They can't shuffle much with the same set of players. So I think the formation will be always kind of predictable for him.
Right.
I think this 4-2-3-1 will bring the best out of Taki, if you ask me. We've seen that in the Community Shield, and I think even in the Blackpool game. There were a few views saying that the Blackpool team gave him a lot of time, and hence he was able to do that. But it will not be this formation. Mane will be on the right, Taki on the left, and Firmino right behind. And with Robbo overlapping, both Minamino, Firmino, and Salah will be right in the middle, right in the mix. And they have that ability to play those nice one-touch, intricate passes in very tight spaces.
Correct.
And that could make the difference. In fact, if Thiago comes, I think Klopp will go for this system much more than the 4-3-3. If we get Thiago, then he will.
Then it makes sense, yeah.
So again, to round it off, let's see. So I already said we are going to win, but I want to hear what position will Liverpool finish in. So Anirudh, what do you think? Where will we finish?
My heart says we'll win, but my head says second or third. It all depends on luck this time, man. COVID has a big, it's a wild card.
Okay.
It can make or break a season for any team, right?
I mean, City fans, according to City fans, for us, luck means war. So as long as war is there, we are lucky. So, so I don't know. What do you think? Where will we finish? Where will Liverpool finish?
I think I will go with what Anirudh said. Second or third. Most likely third.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, let's see. It's going to be an interesting season. I still hope Liverpool will win. But again, the game of prediction is always, that something comes back and bites us. So maybe by end of the season, we'll have another podcast where all our predictions have gone wrong. So.